Hi, this is Crystal with Mrs. Monfettel, and this video is going to be about fitness during pregnancy and what I do. Like my diet video during pregnancy, I'm going to give you a quick history of what I've done fitness-wise. So, when I was young, I grew up on 20 acres, and I was constantly riding bikes, putting up hay during the summer, being really active. And then when I got a little bit older, I started doing sports. I'm tall, I played volleyball and basketball. But when I went to university, I got pretty sedentary. I wasn't good enough to play sports at the college level, and the program I got into really wouldn't have allowed for it anyway, and I just didn't make the time. So I really became pretty inactive during college. And towards my very last year of college, I came back from studying abroad, and I felt really unhealthy. So I started looking into getting into a fitness routine. So ever since March of 2005, I have worked out every day, at least 4 days a week. So that's from March 2005 till now. So the longest break I've taken was 2 weeks, and that was back in April of 2011, and that was to recover from having Elise. So my first pregnancy, or delivery. So that is kind of a brief history as far as what I've done. I've done all sorts of different things as far as fitness-wise, as far as routines. I've gotten into really heavy weights. I've done really, light weights, high rep. I do P90X a lot. I like to do hiking. I like to do mountain biking. I like, all sorts of things. So it's really broad when it comes to that. But for the most part, I work out at a gym. I do, I even do my P90X workouts at the gym most of the time, just because they have all the equipment there, and it's a little easier. So that's kind of just my brief, background. So when I am pregnant, some things I've followed was at the very beginning of pregnancy, I take it pretty easy. Just because, you are at a kind of a delicate spot, and you never want to feel like you could have caused something. You don't want to have that blame on yourself. So I back off a little, and usually what that means as far as kind of cardio-wise, I'm trying not to get my heart rate up into, the 180s or above for really long periods of time. And with Elise's pregnancy, my first pregnancy, I wore a heart rate monitor all the time. And I actually haven't even brought it out this pregnancy. I'm 30 and a half weeks or so. I'm losing track of my days into my second pregnancy, and I haven't really got it out at all. But a lot of books and doctors are going to say you don't want your heart rate to get over 140 beats per minute, and that's really nothing. I mean, that's like so little for me, it's kind of a joke. So I really don't follow that advice at all, and I've talked to a lot of experts and things, and they basically have advised me that there really is no rule on that, and it is basically has a lot to do with your fitness level and what you've been doing before your pregnancy. So most doctors you'll hear will recommend you can keep on doing the level of exercise you've been doing, but it's not a time to push yourself or start new fitness goals. So like I said, I kind of dial it back a little bit at the first weeks of pregnancy until about 12 or 14 weeks, and then I kind of will usually get my energy back by then, and I'll kind of keep on going at a level that I was kind of pre-pregnancy. the things that you really do want to make sure you kind of watch during pregnancy are, as far as your heart rate goes, I like, as a rule, to not have it get into the 180s for very long at all. If you're doing just a quick burst of cardio and for 30 seconds or so, I think it's okay. But as a rule, I try to keep it under 160 for an extended amount of time, and that seems to be good. And the main reason is not, I believe, is not so much your heart rate, it's your internal core body temperature, and you really don't want to get overheated. And because the baby, especially early on, has no way of regulating its body temperature, and you just really, you don't want to get your core body temperature too high, because it's just not safe. Another thing a lot of people and doctors will talk about are not doing any exercises of laying on your back. And it is true that, when you're later in pregnancy, the weight of the baby can compress a major blood vessel in your body and restrict blood flow to you and the baby, causing dizziness and all sorts of things. But really, that's only towards real late, towards the end of your pregnancy, and it's going to have to be for quite a period of time. So I do all sorts of exercises laying on an exercise mat on my back. I don't have an issue with it. Basically, if you're on the ground for less than 5 minutes, I sit up between reps, so I don't have a problem with it at all. I still do crunches and things like that a lot of people you'll find say, oh, no crunches after the first trimester, things like that. But so I am kind of a rule breaker. You have to do what you feel comfortable with, and the major thing is just to listen to your own body. If you don't feel like working out, if you just feel funny, don't work out. It's you have to listen to what your body is telling you, and that's the most important thing. A lot of the times, if you're just tired, starting out light and then getting into something else is actually going to build your energy a little bit. That's what I found with me. A lot of times I don't feel like it, but it's not my body telling me, oh, I really don't want to do it. It's just me being lazy, and then once I do it, I feel a lot better. It's really been a key for me, I think, to help with all those pregnancy hormones and staying well balanced mentally, and then obviously physically. Usually proves that you can handle labor a lot better. Sometimes your labors are quicker, not always. My first labor was not fast, unfortunately, but she was a little stuck. So that's another story, though. But anyway, so during pregnancy, I work out 4 days a week. Towards the end of the pregnancy, 5 days a week, probably for the first to second trimester. I'm 30 weeks now, and I'm still at the 5 days a week mark. So a typical week of working out will look like Monday, I'll do cardio. And that, for cardio, what I'll usually do is the elliptical, Stairmaster, spin or cycling, stationary bike, and then sometimes walking on the treadmill, but it depends. And then, so I'll do an hour of cardio. Sometimes I'll mix it up. Sometimes if, a lot of times on Monday I'm just kind of easing into my week, so I'll just do watch videos or read a book while I do an hour of light cardio on the elliptical. The elliptical seems to be a really good machine for me. I get what they're calling now, they've changed the name, it's pelvic girdle pain. It used to be called pubic symphysis dysfunction. It's where the relaxin hormone kind of is a little bit overactive and separates your pelvis too much, so I have a lot of give and play in my pelvis, and it causes a lot of pain. So I have to be careful what I do as far as kind of supporting my pelvis and not having it get too much play in it, or it really hurts and I pay for it later. So The elliptical is very low impact. Stairmaster I can still do. It's a lot better walking upstairs than walking downstairs. Um, Walking is okay, but actually I end up getting a little sore. Running is out of the picture for me. I know a lot of women that even run marathons up until their 6 month of pregnancy, later probably, but running's out of the picture for me. I tried to run a lot with Elise's pregnancy, and with my pelvis it just doesn't work. It's just not worth it. So cut out that. Um, this kind of goes into weightlifting, but I also pretty much cut out most plyo. And especially now with this second pregnancy, I'm cutting out high impact, jumping and things like that. Not only for my pelvis, but also to protect my pelvic floor. And just because there is a lot of weight on it, and it, you don't want incontinence issues after you have your baby. So I kind of just I just modify exercises, but I pretty much cut out jumping and running. Those are like the two main things that I've had to really cut out. So back to my kind of typical week. So Monday will be cardio, Tuesday will be weightlifting, Wednesday will be cardio, Thursday will be weightlifting, and Friday will be maybe a mix of cardio and weights, or just cardio. It just depends on what it is. So I already explained like an hour of cardio. Tuesday, weights. And a lot of times, like right now, I've been enjoying a Power Sculpt class at the gym, and it's kind of a full body exercise class using light weights and dumbbells, free weights. So as far as weight training goes during pregnancy, so on those Tuesday, Thursdays, and then sometimes half of the days on Friday, I'm focusing on lighter weights, higher reps. And weight training is really great during pregnancy. It's a good way to do some kind of low impact exercises. A lot of times you can be sitting down, but you're still getting a lot of benefit and getting stronger. And so I'm doing that class that I talked about, a Power Sculpt class, which is a weight training for full body. And I usually do that 2 days a week, and then on Fridays I'll go into the gym and do my own thing. Basically, I'll usually do a half an hour of cardio, and then I'll do a half an hour of weights. Just kind of work out whatever muscle group I think needs a little bit more help. But as far as getting back to the weights, you can really make it high intensity and get your heart rate up so you're getting cardio and weight training, or you can really go slow and sit down and take your time. So it really can be broad as far as if you're a beginner or if you're more advanced and you're still trying to maintain a certain level of fitness. Like I am, I try and make it a little bit more high intensity, but I just modify things as I need to. So I'm gonna show you a few things as far as with doing light weights that I think are really beneficial, especially during pregnancy. And this has as much benefit, I think, on your mind and as it does physically, and that is doing exercises that are going to challenge your mind, and it's going to actually make you burn a little bit and make you really use your mind and your spirit to push you through. Basically, my labor is really something that's hard to prepare for, and it can be different between different pregnancies and things like that. But basically, the number one thing I did to prepare myself for birth was to focus on mentally being able to conquer using challenging situations when my body was telling me no, 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 and I could just kind of center myself and push through it. So exercises that are good for practicing that are especially with weight training, are things that you're going to get a lot of burn at. So that would be, everybody knows like typical, bicep curls. So before I'll show you my twist on that. One thing is to kind of a good hint is to keep your pinkies slightly elevated from where your thumbs are, and that's going to help isolate your bicep better. But so a typical, bicep curl for whole extension, a lot of people have done these, so that's great. So, but what you can do that I think that adds that kind of mental game to it is once you've done a full set, either hold those weights or you pulse them. And you pulse it for a specific amount of time. You might want to set a timer, and it's when that pulsing, that holding is when you're really gonna feel that burn and you're really gonna want to quit, but you're gonna power through it. And that's what I find really beneficial. So something like that. Other exercises that are good to do holds, another type of bicep curl would be to hold your weight with one hand and then do your curls with another. So like that. And I can't really think of an exercise where you can't do the hold or the pulse. You can do your lateral raises as normal, but then you can either hold it or pulse. And it's that pulsing that really gets to you and it really starts burning, especially if you've, done a full set of, 8 to 15 and you're pulsing for a while, it's really gonna burn. So, and the same way goes with legs. And now, when I work out my legs, one thing I keep in mind is I don't really worry about weights that much because I'm already, carrying some extra weight already. But you can use some light weight if you want. If you're not, your body weight is probably going to be fine. But same type of thing. So squats are great. But thing you want to keep in mind with squats too, and this wasn't as much I found helpful with Elise, and that's probably because I hadn't had a baby before, but with this pregnancy, it's really helpful if I really focus on tightening my pelvic floor muscles the entire time when I'm doing the squats, and keeping your core in, and also putting your pelvis forward when you're coming out of the squat. So I'll show you from the front. And so that is just your back, and so I have my pelvic muscles tight, and then I pull my pelvis forward when I'm at the top of the squat, and you're tightening your butt at the same time, and that really helps. So you're sticking your butt out and you're pushing it forward at the top of the squat. That really helps. I find that when I'm keeping my pelvic floor muscles tight during this too, the pressure is a lot less. If I don't, I feel a lot more pressure down low, and I'm assuming that just gets more and more pressure. Obviously, the bigger you get, also the more pregnancies you have. So keeping your pelvic muscles tight is really important, and your core. And the same type of thing as far as I was doing with the weights, you can do with your legs. So a great thing to be doing, like plie squats, would be do your set of how many reps that you need to do, but then either hold it or pulse for a specific amount of time. And it's that pulsing that, especially, that you're going to be like, oh, I want to stop. And then you just kind of fight through it. And that, it's going to help as far as for building that mental strategy of coping through pain and kind of mind over matter type of thing. Some other exercises I love, same type of thing, planks. Planks are great for abs during pregnancy, and another thing that really burns and you're really having to focus on, wall squats, many things like that. So those are kind of my strategy of what I do. I can't get too much more specific or it's going to be a really, really long video. So if you have any questions, let me know. Again, this is what I do. I can't tell that you can do any of these. You need to be able to check with your doctor or your midwives, make sure you're healthy enough. Obviously, there's all sorts of situations during pregnancy where it's not safe to do any of what I've shown you. So just take it as me sharing what has worked with me, and hopefully all this work will pay off, and I'll have an even easier labor this time around, and I'll bounce back like I did after pregnancy number 1, just as fast after pregnancy number 2. Alright, talk to you guys later. Bye.